In the heart of Seoul's United Earth Defense Command Center, beneath layers of reinforced steel and concrete, Captain Jae-ho Park's steady gaze remained fixed on the holographic display. The alien vessel loomed above Earth, its dark metallic surface reflecting the sun's rays in an otherworldly shimmer. The ship's size alone dwarfed humanity's largest space stations, stretching nearly 15 kilometers from bow to stern. The control room buzzed with activity as officers and analysts worked at their stations, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of their screens. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife, but Jae-ho maintained his composure. 20 years of military service had prepared him for many things, though first contact with an alien civilization hadn't been on the list. Dr. Hae-Nul Kim approached his station, her tablet displaying streams of data. Her usually neat black hair was slightly disheveled, suggesting she hadn't left the command center since the vessel first appeared 48 hours ago. "Captain, we've finished decoding their latest transmission," she said, her voice steady despite the circumstances. Jae-ho nodded, keeping his eyes on the main display. "What are they saying this time?" Hae-Nul pulled up the translated message on the main screen. The same demands, but with more detail. They call themselves the Galactic Council. According to them, Earth sits in what they consider their territory. They're demanding our immediate submission and integration into their governmental structure. The message scrolled across the screen in multiple languages. Jae-ho read it carefully, noting the subtle threats woven between diplomatic phrases. "They're not used to being refused," he observed. "That's not all," Hae-Nul continued, swiping through data on her tablet. "Their bioscan readings of Earth are causing quite a stir among their scientists. They'd been continuously scanning our planet since arrival, and something about their findings has them confused." Jae-ho finally turned to face her. "Confused how?" "Their scans show our atmospheric composition, gravity, and radiation levels. According to their data, Earth should be uninhabitable by their standards. They're particularly interested in our oxygen levels. Apparently, what we breathe would be toxic to most of their member species." The command center's main doors slid open as General Min Seo entered, followed by representatives from various world governments. The United Nations had granted emergency powers to the Defense Command, recognizing that humanity needed to present a united front. "Captain Park," General Min Seo called out, "what's our current status?" Jae-ho straightened, addressing the assembled leaders. "The alien vessel maintains its position in high orbit. They've made no aggressive moves, but their shields remain active. Our analysis suggests their technology is approximately 50 years ahead of ours in most areas." "Only 50 years," someone muttered from the back. "Yes," Hae-Nul confirmed, joining the briefing. "While their space travel capabilities are impressive, many of their other systems appear to have developed along similar lines to ours. They use variations of our basic technologies, just more refined." The holographic display shifted, showing a three-dimensional model of the alien ship. Different sections lit up as Hae-Nul explained. "Their life support systems are particularly interesting. They maintain multiple environments within the ship, each tailored to different member species. None of these environments match Earth's conditions." Jae-ho added, "This suggests their member species evolved in much more forgiving environments than Earth. Our planet's conditions, which we consider normal, would be extreme by their standards." The room fell silent as this information sank in. Humanity had long wondered if they were alone in the universe, imagining countless scenarios of first contact. Now that it had happened, the reality was stranger than anyone had expected. A new alert flashed across the main screen. Hae-Nul quickly analyzed the incoming data. "Captain, they're requesting an immediate audience with Earth's leaders. They want to send a delegation to the surface." General Min Seo frowned. "Here, in Earth's gravity. They're specifically requesting we maintain our normal atmospheric conditions," Hae-Nul confirmed. "They want to see how we live naturally." Jae-ho studied the request carefully. "They're testing us," he concluded. "This isn't just about diplomatic relations. They want to understand what they're dealing with." The general nodded slowly. Then we should show them exactly what humanity is capable of. Captain Park, you'll lead the reception team. Dr. Kim, prepare a full briefing on their biological limitations. We don't want any accidents during their visit. As the leaders dispersed to make preparations, Jae-ho returned to studying the alien vessel. These visitors had arrived expecting to find another primitive species to add to their collection. Instead, they'd found humanity, a species that had evolved on a world they considered a death trap, breathing poison, surviving crushing gravity, and thriving in radiation levels their species would find alarming. Hanul appeared at his side, her voice low. They think they're here to intimidate us into submission. They have no idea what they're dealing with, do they? Jae-ho allowed himself a small smile. No, they don't. Humanity spent millions of years climbing from the bottom of the food chain to become Earth's apex predator. We didn't do it by submitting to stronger forces. We did it by adapting and overcoming. Above them, the alien ship continued its orbit, its occupants unaware that their arrival had awakened something they never expected to find. A species that had been forged in the crucible of Earth's harsh conditions, emerging stronger for it. The coming days would show them exactly what that meant. The command center continued its work through the night, preparing for humanity's first face-to-face meeting with alien life. Whatever came next, Earth would face it standing tall, ready to show the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. The landing pad at the United Earth Defense Command hummed with energy as the alien shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere. Council Representative Du Yun's vessel moved with graceful precision, its silver surface gleaming in the morning sun. Below, Captain Jae-ho Park stood with the Earth delegation, watching as their visitors experienced terrestrial gravity for the first time. The shuttle's landing ramp extended smoothly, revealing the alien delegation. Du Yun emerged first, his tall, slender frame encased in what appeared to be a lightweight support suit. Despite his species' apparent discomfort in Earth's gravity, he moved with practiced dignity. His iridescent scales shifted color slightly as he adjusted to the sunlight, a sign of his species' adaptive biology. Behind him, Science Officer Sun Mei followed, her more robust frame better suited to Earth's conditions. Unlike Du Yun, she wore only minimal protective gear, her focus entirely on the handheld device she used to scan their surroundings. Her 4 eyes blinked rapidly, each pair working independently to process different types of data. Jae-ho noticed the subtle tremors in Du Yun's movements as the alien proceeded down the ramp. Earth's gravity was clearly taking its toll, though the council representative struggled to hide his discomfort. It was a telling detail, one that confirmed their initial assessments of the council's biological limitations. "Welcome to Earth," Jae-ho said, bowing slightly in greeting. "We trust your descent through our atmosphere was comfortable." Du Yun's translator processed the words, and he responded with what might have been a grimace or a smile. It was hard to tell with his alien features. "Your world is intense," he said, his translated voice carrying tones of both wonder and disapproval. "We were not expecting such extreme conditions." Behind him, Sun Mi's scanning device emitted a series of soft beats. "Representative," she said, her voice carrying a note of concern, "the readings are even more remarkable up close. The humans' cellular structure, their bone density, it's unlike anything in our database." Dr. Hae-Nul Kim stepped forward, her own devices matching readings with the alien scientists. "We'd be happy to share our medical data," she offered. "Our biology is well documented." Sun Mi's 4 eyes widened with interest, but Du Yun cut off any response. "We are not here to study them," he said sharply. "We are here to discuss terms of integration into the Council's authority." Jae-ho maintained his diplomatic smile, even as he noted how Du Yun's legs trembled slightly under Earth's gravity. The alien support suit was working overtime to compensate, its edges glowing with power usage. "Perhaps we should move this discussion inside," he suggested. "We've prepared a chamber that might be more comfortable for you." The group moved into the command center's diplomatic wing, where the humans had installed gravity regulators to ease their visitors' discomfort. Du Yun's posture relaxed visibly as the artificial gravity adjusted to match his homeworld specifications. As they walked, Sun Mei continued her scans, muttering to herself in her native language. Her translator occasionally picked up phrases: impossible resilience, natural armor in their skin, efficient oxygen processing. The conference room itself was a marvel of human engineering, designed to accommodate various atmospheric needs while maintaining security. As they took their seats, Du Yun began his prepared speech. The Galactic Council has maintained peace and order for 10,000 years, he stated, his translator conveying his tone of authority. Your species' independent development ends today. We offer you the opportunity to join our civilization properly, under our guidance and control. Jaiho exchanged glances with Hainul. The humans had positioned themselves strategically around the room, a detail their visitors hadn't seemed to notice. While Du Yun spoke, human sensors were mapping every detail of their visitors' biology and technology. Representative, Jaiho responded carefully. While we appreciate the offer, humanity has its own systems of governance. We would be interested in discussing equal partnership, but submission isn't something we're prepared to consider. Du Yun's scales flickered with what might have been amusement or annoyance. You don't understand your position. Your technology is primitive. Your species is isolated. The Council's decision is final. Sun Mei looked up from her devices, her expression troubled. Representative, I must interject. These readings, the humans have adapted to conditions that would kill most Council species. Their muscular density alone suggests strength levels that exceed our strongest member races. Irrelevant. Du Yun dismissed. Physical capability means nothing against our technology. Jaiho smiled again, knowing that human engineers had already completed their analysis of the alien support suits, shields, and weapon systems. The Council's technology was impressive, but their reliance on it had made them overconfident. They hadn't noticed the subtle ways humans had already begun counteracting their advantages. Perhaps, Jaiho suggested, we could demonstrate some of humanity's capabilities. A cultural exchange, if you will. Show you how we've adapted to our world. Sun Mei's eyes lit up with interest, but Du Yun waved the suggestion away. We are not here to learn from you. We are here to instruct you on your new place in the galaxy. As the meeting continued, Hainul's tablet quietly displayed the growing list of weaknesses they'd identified in the Council's technology. Their shields were optimized for energy weapons, not physical impacts. Their support suits couldn't handle rapid pressure changes. Their sensors, while advanced, were calibrated for conditions very different from Earth's. The humans let Du Yun continue his speech, watching as he listed demand after demand, each one revealing more about the Council's limitations and assumptions. They didn't understand yet that they weren't dealing with just another species to be absorbed into their empire. They were facing humanity, a species that had evolved on a world they considered uninhabitable, that had spent its entire history adapting, overcoming, and surviving against all odds. By the time the meeting concluded, the humans had gathered more useful intelligence than they'd revealed. As the alien delegation prepared to return to their shuttle, Sun Mei lingered behind, her scanner still active. Your species, she said quietly to Hainul, you're not what we expected to find here. Hainul smiled. We get that a lot. In the temporary research facility established for the Council's scientific team, Sun Mei sat surrounded by holographic displays showing human historical records. She had spent the last 3 weeks studying Earth's species, but it was human history that truly captured her attention. Each new discovery left her both fascinated and unsettled. The latest recording showed ancient human hunting techniques. Sun Mei watched in amazement as historical reenactments demonstrated how early humans would chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. No other known species in the galaxy hunted this way. Most relied on ambush or pack tactics. Dr. Hainul Kim entered the research room, carrying fresh data crystals. She found Sun Mi completely absorbed in the historical archives, all four of her eyes fixed on different displays, finding anything interesting. Hey Newell asked. Sun Mi's translator took a moment to process before she responded. Your species, you began as prey animals, yes. Small, vulnerable, lacking natural weapons. That's right, Hey Newell confirmed, setting down the crystals. We weren't always at the top of the food chain. But then, Sun Mi continued, gesturing at the displays. You became something else entirely. These persistence hunting techniques, they should be impossible. The energy requirements alone. Newell pulled up a chair, watching the recordings with her. We evolved to be efficient. Sweat glands for cooling. Upright walking for endurance. Big brains for tracking and planning. Everything worked together. Sun Mi brought up another display, showing human settlements in various environments. And this adaptability. You live in frozen wastelands, in burning deserts, in high mountains where the air is thin. Most species can barely survive outside their original habitat zones. The alien scientist's growing understanding of humanity was evident in her voice. She pulled up more data, showing human technological progression. In just a few thousand years, you went from stone tools to spaceflight. The Council took twice as long to achieve similar advances. Necessity drives innovation, Hey Newell explained. Earth isn't forgiving. We had to adapt or die. Sun Mi's lower eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of emotional distress in her species. The Council. They don't understand what they're dealing with. They see your technology level and assume you're primitive. They don't see what we had to become to get here. Hey Newell finished for her. Exactly. Sun Mi brought up new displays, showing human medical data. Your healing abilities alone are remarkable. Broken bones that repair themselves, tissue that regenerates, immune systems that adapt to new threats. Most species would die from injuries humans routinely survive. Newell watched as Sun Mi compiled her findings, noting how the alien scientist's attitude had shifted from academic interest to something closer to awe. Would you like to see something else? She offered. Something that might help you understand us better. Sun Mi's attention shifted fully to Hey Newell. What do you mean? Our space program. Not just the current technology, but how we got there. The story of how humanity reached for the stars. The alien scientist's four eyes widened with interest. The Council records show your first space ventures were incredibly primitive. Barely contained explosions pushing metal capsules into orbit. Newell smiled. Exactly. And we sent people up in those capsules, knowing the risks, because we couldn't resist exploring, pushing boundaries, seeing what was possible. She brought up historical footage of early space missions. Look at these early spacecraft. No artificial gravity, minimal radiation shielding, life support systems that could fail at any moment. But humans went up anyway. They went up in machines that the Council would consider death traps. Sun Mi watched in silence as the footage showed early astronauts enduring launch conditions that would have killed most Council species. Your people knew the dangers. Of course, but that's never stopped us. Did you know that humans are one of the few species that actively seeks out challenges? We climb mountains simply because they're there. We dive into ocean depths that should crush us. We push ourselves to limits just to see where those limits are. The alien scientist's scales shifted color, a sign of deep thought. The Council assumed your isolation from galactic society had left you vulnerable, underdeveloped. But isolation didn't weaken you. It made us stronger, Hey Newell confirmed. We had to solve our own problems, overcome our own challenges. Every step forward was earned through innovation and determination. Sun Mi's scanning device beeped with new data as she processed this information. Your current space program, would you show me? Newell stood, gesturing for Sun Mi to follow. Even better. I'll show you our training facilities. You can see how we prepare humans for space exploration now. As they walked through the facility, Sun Mi continued recording data, but her questions had changed. She no longer asked about weaknesses or limitations. Instead, she wanted to understand how humans had become what they were, a species that treated impossible challenges as mere obstacles to overcome. The Council had made a crucial mistake in their assessment of Earth. They had looked at human technology and seen a primitive species. They should have looked at human history and seen what humanity had already overcome to get where they were. By the time they reached the space training facility, Sunli understood why her initial readings had seemed impossible. Humans weren't just another species to be added to the Council's collection. They were something unique, a species that had turned their harsh world's challenges into strengths, that had evolved not to avoid difficulties but to overcome them. The Council had threatened Earth thinking they were dealing with a primitive civilization. They hadn't realized they were poking at a species that had spent its entire existence learning how to survive and thrive against all odds. From the observation deck of the Council's flagship, Du Yun and his delegation watched as Earth's defense fleet assembled in the space near Jupiter. Captain Jiho Park had suggested this demonstration of human space capabilities, choosing the gas giant's busy asteroid field as the perfect backdrop. The human vessels looked smaller than Council ships, their designs more compact and angular. Du Yun had initially dismissed them as primitive, but Sunmi's recent reports had made him pay closer attention. These ships weren't built for show. They were designed for efficiency and maneuverability. Beginning demonstration sequence. Jiho's voice came through the communication system. His flagship, the Terra Dawn, took point position. We'll start with basic formation maneuvers. What followed was anything but basic. The human ships moved in perfect coordination, weaving through space with a precision that had the Council observers gripping their seats. The vessels spun, rolled, and changed direction at speeds that should have torn them apart. Impossible, Du Yun muttered, watching as the human ships performed moves his own fleet wouldn't attempt. Their inertial dampeners can't be that advanced. Hanul, standing nearby with Sunmi, smiled. We don't rely solely on technology. Our pilots train to handle high maneuvers naturally. Human bodies are remarkably adaptable to acceleration forces. The demonstration continued as Jiho led his fleet into the asteroid field. Council protocols strictly forbade such dangerous navigation, but the human ships threaded through the shifting rocks as if they were dancing. Each vessel anticipated the asteroid's movements, adjusting course with split-second timing. Sunmi's scanning devices worked overtime, recording everything. Their reaction times, their processing visual information, and responding faster than our best systems. It's how we evolved, Hanul explained, watching as another human ship executed a perfect spiral between two converging asteroids. Our ancestors needed to track moving prey, throw weapons, catch things. Every human learns these skills from childhood. Watch this. She pulled a small ball from her pocket and tossed it to Sunmi. The alien scientist's 4 eyes tracked the object, but her hands couldn't coordinate fast enough to catch it. Hanul caught the ball on its bounce, demonstrating the smooth, natural movement. You see, what we consider simple coordination is actually a complex series of calculations, predicting trajectory, adjusting for speed and spin, moving multiple muscle groups in perfect timing. We do it without thinking. On the main screen, Jiho's fleet had formed a new pattern. The ships moved in intersecting orbits around each other, maintaining formation while still navigating the asteroid field. Each vessel's path complemented the others, creating a 3-dimensional dance through space. Du Yun's scales had shifted to a pale color, a sign of stress in his species. These maneuvers, they're unnecessary, showy, no practical combat application. No. Jiho's voice carried a hint of amusement. Watch this. The human fleet suddenly scattered, each ship taking a different vector. The Council observers lost track of several vessels as they vanished behind asteroids. Then, one by one, they reappeared at unexpected angles, having used the natural cover to completely reposition themselves. In combat, Jiho explained, predictability means death. Humans understand this instinctively. We don't just fly in straight lines hoping our shields will protect us. To demonstrate his point, the Pterodon cut its engines, letting momentum carry it through a cluster of asteroids while rotating to maintain optimal firing positions. The maneuver would have made most species violently ill, but human pilots had learned to use their inner ear's balance system to their advantage. Your ships are more advanced than ours, Haynul acknowledged to the Council observers. Better weapons, stronger shields, more powerful engines. But technology isn't everything. A knife can be just as deadly as a laser in the right hands. Sun's readings confirmed what they were seeing. The human pilots were operating their vessels like natural extensions of themselves, applying the same instinctive understanding of motion and physics that their ancestors had used to throw spears or dodge predators. The demonstration concluded with the human fleet executing a complex interwoven pattern that brought them back to their starting position. Not a single ship had suffered so much as a scratch from the asteroid field. Du Yun remained silent for a long moment after the ships powered down. His species had ruled space for millennia, relying on their superior technology to maintain dominance. But these humans, they flew their primitive ships with a natural skill his people couldn't match. Perhaps, he said finally, we should reconsider our approach to Earth's integration into the Council. Haynul shared a knowing look with Sunme. The demonstration had achieved its purpose. The Council was beginning to understand that humanity's strength wasn't in their technology. It was in their natural abilities, honed by millions of years of evolution on a challenging world. As the observers filed out of the room, Sunmi tried once more to catch the ball Haynul had shown her. This time, understanding better what she was seeing, she noticed how the human's eyes tracked the ball's movement, how her muscles tensed and relaxed in perfect sequence, how she made such a complex action look effortless. The Council had come to Earth expecting to find another species to guide and control. Instead, they were discovering that humans had qualities their own species had never needed to develop. It was a humbling realization, and one that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. The alert sirens woke Security Chief Taiwan at 3 in the morning. Another Council ship had reported system failures, the 5th incident in 2 weeks. As he rushed to the command center, his mind raced through the pattern of recent events. Report, he called out, entering the bustling control room where Captain Jaiho and Dr. Haynul were already reviewing data. Council transport vessel lost power near Mars orbit, Haynul explained, bringing up the sensor readings. Life support stayed online, but engines and navigation systems failed simultaneously. Do Yun's face appeared on the main screen, his scales dark with anger. This is a direct attack. Your human ships were spotted in the area just hours before. Research vessels on scheduled surveys. Jaiho responded calmly. We provided flight plans in advance. Taiwan moved to his station, pulling up records of the previous incidents. Each one followed a similar pattern, critical systems failing without warning, always when ships were most vulnerable. But something didn't add up. Captain, he called quietly to Jaiho. These failures, they're too perfect, too precise. Haynul joined them, keeping her voice low. What do you mean? Taiwan highlighted data from each incident. Look at the timing. Each failure occurs exactly when it would cause maximum tension between Earth and the Council. If we were behind this, we wouldn't be so obvious. On the main screen, Du Yun continued his accusations, but Sunmei appeared behind him, her 4 eyes showing concern. Representative, the damage patterns don't match known human technology. These energy signatures are older. That caught Taiwan's attention. Send me those readings, he requested. As the data appeared on his screen, his eyes widened. These energy patterns, I've seen them before. Working quickly, he pulled up archaeological files from Earth's deep space missions. Similar energy signatures had been detected in ancient ruins found on distant moons and asteroids, structures that predated both human and Council civilization. Captain, he said, we need to show them this. Jaiho studied the data, then nodded. Du Yun, He addressed the screen. "We have information you need to see. Request permission to dock with your vessel." The Council ship's docking bay was tense as Jeho Humnul and Taiwan stepped through the airlock. Sun Mai met them first, her scanning device already analyzing the data they brought. "These readings," she confirmed, "they match artifacts we found in the Outer Rim. The Council classified those discoveries centuries ago." Du Yun arrived, his initial anger giving way to concern as he reviewed the evidence. "The Shadowborn," he said finally. "We thought they were extinct." "The what?" He Newell asked. Sun Mei brought up ancient Council records, a species that ruled the galaxy long before the Council formed. They'd vanished mysteriously, leaving only ruins, but these energy signatures suggest they never left. Taiwan finished. They've been hiding, watching, and now they're trying to start a war between us. The revelation changed everything. Together, human and Council experts began re-examining every incident. They found subtle signs they'd missed before, microscopic technology far more advanced than either civilization possessed. "But why?" Du Yun asked. "Why reveal themselves now?" Taiwan had been thinking about that. "Because of us, humans, we're different from the species they're used to manipulating. We think differently, adapt quickly. We're a variable they can't control. And the Council's attempt to integrate Earth," Jeho added, "would have brought our species into an alliance. They don't want that." Working from the command center, Taiwan coordinated with Council security to set a trap. They leaked false information about a major diplomatic meeting between Earth and Council leadership. As predicted, the Shadowborn technology appeared. This time, they were ready. Combined human and Council sensors tracked the energy signatures to their source. A cloaked ship using technology far beyond either civilization's capabilities. "They've been watching us for centuries," Sun Mai realized, analyzing the data. "Keeping species divided, preventing alliances that might threaten their control." The mystery had become clear, but it brought new challenges. The Shadowborn were real, their technology was far advanced, and they had decided that the growing cooperation between humans and the Council was a threat to their hidden dominance. As Taiwan compiled his findings into a report, he couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Shadowborn's attempt to divide humanity and the Council had instead forced them to work together, creating exactly the kind of alliance they had tried to prevent. "What do we do now?" He Newell asked, looking at the evidence they'd gathered. "We keep investigating," Taiwan replied. "But more importantly, we stay united. The Shadowborn have survived this long by keeping civilizations isolated and suspicious of each other. By working together, we become something they can't manipulate." Du Yun, who had started the day accusing Earth of sabotage, now stood with them reviewing defense strategies. The threat of the Shadowborn had accomplished what diplomacy couldn't: genuine cooperation between their species. "They won't stop," Sun Mai warned. "The Shadowborn have had millennia to perfect their manipulation." "No," Jeho agreed, "but they've never dealt with humans before. We have a habit of surviving things that should destroy us. And now we're not facing them alone." The command center hummed with activity as human and Council personnel worked side by side, sharing information and strategies. The Shadowborn had revealed themselves in an attempt to start a war. Instead, they had created the very thing they feared most: an alliance between two civilizations that together might be strong enough to challenge their hidden empire. Taiwan smiled as he watched Earth and Council ships begin joint patrols. Sometimes the greatest mysteries, once solved, led to unexpected opportunities. The Shadowborn had wanted to keep humanity and the Council apart. Their failure to do so might just change the course of galactic history. The Council chamber fell silent as Sun Mai presented her findings. The circular room, filled with representatives from member species across the galaxy, focused intently on the holographic displays showing her research on humanity. "My initial studies focused on their physical capabilities," Sun Mai explained, her four eyes moving between the assembled delegates. "But I discovered something far more significant: Humans possess a unique combination of traits we've never seen before. The displays showed scenes from Earth's history, humans working together to build cities, forming alliances between different cultures, adapting to new challenges with innovative solutions. Du Yun, standing beside her, had dropped his earlier hostility as he helped present their joint findings. Their physical adaptability is remarkable, he admitted, but their mental adaptability is extraordinary. Humans don't just survive challenges, they learn from them, improve upon them, and teach others what they've learned. Taiwan stepped forward, adding his security perspective. The Shadowborn recognized this quality before we did. Their attempts to prevent Earth Council cooperation weren't just about maintaining control. They were about preventing something new from emerging. The displays shifted to show recent events, human and council ships working together, sharing technologies, combining their different approaches to solve problems. Security teams from both civilizations had already begun joint training programs, each learning from the other's strengths. Look at how quickly humans adapt to new situations, Sun Mei continued. When faced with council technology, they didn't try to copy it exactly. Instead, they found ways to complement it with their own innovations. They don't just adopt, they improve. One of the council elders spoke up, their translator conveying their concern. But their aggressive nature, their predatory instincts, are balanced by an equally strong drive to protect and cooperate. Hay Newell interjected, joining the presentation. Humans form bonds not just within their species, but with any beings they come to understand. Our history is full of examples. The display showed humans working with domestic animals, rehabilitating wildlife, reaching out to help other species. Even in their fiction, humans often imagined peaceful cooperation with alien life. The Shadowborn's greatest fear, Taiwan explained, is that humanity's ability to adapt and cooperate would spread throughout the galaxy. They've maintained control by keeping species isolated, dependent on their hidden influence. Humans naturally break down those barriers. Sun Mei brought up new data, showing how human and council cooperation had already produced results neither civilization could have achieved alone. In just weeks of working together, we've made advances that would have taken years separately. The council chamber buzzed with discussion as representatives processed this information. Some showed concern, others interest, but all recognized the significance of what they were seeing. Humans don't just want to join the galactic community, Sun Mei concluded. They want to help it grow, to share what they've learned, to learn from others in return. The Shadowborn fear this because it threatens the divisions they've carefully maintained for millennia. Du Yun, who had once viewed humans as primitive beings to be controlled, now stood as their advocate. I've seen their adaptability firsthand. When we thought we were testing them, they were learning about us. While we tried to intimidate them, they were figuring out how to work with us. The displays showed the recent joint operations against Shadowborn interference. Human intuition combined with council technology had proven remarkably effective at detecting and countering their hidden manipulations. They don't want alliance, Taiwan repeated, emphasizing the key point. They fear we'll unite the galaxy, and they're right to be afraid, because that's exactly what humans do best. Bring people together, find common ground, build connections. The council members watched as more evidence was presented. Humans teaching council species their techniques, learning alien technologies, creating new hybrid approaches that drew from both civilizations' strengths. We've been so focused on maintaining order through control, Sun Mei said softly, that we forgot about progress through cooperation. Humans reminded us of this possibility. The chamber's mood had shifted dramatically from the tension of previous meetings. Where there had been suspicion, now there was curiosity. Where there had been fear of human aggression, now there was appreciation for human adaptation. The Shadowborn have preserved their power by keeping us separate, Taiwan concluded. But they never encountered a species like humanity before, one that instinctively seeks to bridge gaps, build relationships, and find ways for different beings to work together. As the presentation ended, the council chamber erupted in discussion. Representatives who had once voted to force Earth's submission now debated how best to learn from humanity's unique qualities. Sun Lai, Du Yun, and Taiwan shared satisfied looks. The Shadowborn had tried to prevent this very moment. The realization that cooperation between species could create something greater than the sum of its parts. They feared we would unite the galaxy. Hey Newell said quietly. Perhaps it's time we proved them right. The council session continued long into the night, as plans were made not just for Earth's integration into the galactic community, but for a new kind of cooperation that could change everything. The Shadowborn's greatest fear was becoming reality. Humanity's gift for adaptation and alliance was spreading, creating connections that their hidden influence could no longer control. The observation deck of the United Earth Defense Command offered a stunning view of the celebration taking place in Earth's orbit. Ships from both human and council fleets moved in coordinated patterns, their lights creating beautiful displays against the backdrop of stars. The formal recognition ceremony had just ended, marking Earth's new status as an equal partner in the galactic community. Captain Jaho Park stood quietly, watching the spectacle. The past month had transformed everything. The discovery of the Shadowborn, the joint operation to expose their manipulation, and finally, the new alliance that had emerged from the crisis. He heard soft footsteps behind him and turned to see Sun Mai approaching. The alien scientist had been instrumental in helping both sides understand each other. Her 4 eyes reflected the dancing lights outside as she joined him at the viewing window. The council has never adapted to change this quickly before, she said, her translator conveying a tone of wonder. Many believed it impossible. Sometimes impossible things just need a fresh perspective, Jaiho replied. The displays showed records from their joint operation against the Shadowborn. Human intuition combined with council technology had proven devastatingly effective. The hidden manipulators had never faced an alliance that could think and adapt so quickly. Did you know? Sun Lei asked, turning all 4 eyes to study his face. How this would end? Jaiho smiled, remembering the tension of those first encounters. We hoped, he said simply. Humans always hope. It's another thing that makes us unique. Below them, in the command center, Du Yun was working with Earth's military leaders to establish new joint defense protocols. The former council representative, who had once demanded Earth's submission, now spoke of partnership and mutual protection. Your species continues to surprise us, Sun Mai observed. When we first arrived, we thought we were dealing with primitive beings who needed guidance. Instead, you taught us things we had forgotten. The celebration outside continued as more ships joined the display. Each movement represented the cooperation between species that had once viewed each other with suspicion. Human pilots flew alongside council vessels, their different styles complementing each other perfectly. The victory wasn't in proving humanity's strength, Jaiho noted, watching the ships dance through space. It was in showing how that strength could lift others. Anul and Taiwan joined them on the observation deck, carrying data tablets showing the latest findings about Shadowborn technology. The hidden race's influence was being exposed across the galaxy, their long manipulation finally brought to light. The other council species are requesting human advisors, Hainul reported. They want to learn our adaptation techniques, our way of thinking about problems. Taiwan added, and we're learning just as much from them. Their experience, their technology. Combined with our approach, we're achieving things neither side could do alone. The screens showed new joint projects already underway. Hybrid ships combining human intuitive design with council advanced technology. Training programs teaching both species best techniques. Research teams mixing different scientific approaches to solve old problems. In the end, Jaiho reflected, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't our resilience or adaptability, but our capacity to turn enemies into friends. Sun Ni's scales shifted to a warm color, a sign of agreement in her species. The Shadowborn never understood this. They saw strength only in terms of control and domination. They couldn't comprehend the power of willing cooperation. Outside, Earth glowed beautifully against the darkness of space, no longer an isolated world, but a vital part of a larger community. Ships from dozens of species moved around it, each bringing their own unique contributions to the growing alliance. "What happens now?" Sunma asked. "We keep building," Jaiho replied. "Keep learning from each other, keep growing together. The galaxy's a big place, plenty of room for all of us to contribute something unique." As the celebration continued into the night, the observation deck filled with both human and alien observers, all watching the display of unity their cooperation had created. The fear and suspicion of those first encounters had given way to something new, genuine appreciation for what different species could achieve together. Earth had joined the galactic community not as a conqueror or a subject, but as a catalyst for positive change. The Shadowborn's attempt to prevent this had only hastened its arrival, proving that hope and cooperation could overcome even the most careful manipulation. "Thank you," Sunmai said suddenly. "For what?" "For showing us a better way. For reminding us that strength doesn't have to mean standing alone." Jaiho smiled as another wave of lights filled the sky. Humanity had found its place among the stars not by dominating others, but by helping them see their own potential. It was a victory worth celebrating, and a new beginning worth building on. The future stretched out before them, filled with possibilities that neither humans nor council members had imagined before. Together, they would explore those possibilities, learn from each other, and create something greater than either civilization could have achieved alone. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the Shadowborn watched as their carefully maintained divisions crumbled before humanity's greatest gift, the ability to bring people together and help them become more than they were before. End of story.